Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
What was it about those sessions that you found so disturbing?
In these sessions, my daughter was confiding in the group about her belief that she could be pregnant.
In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. Stop. Is that true? I don't want you to understand. I want you to overstand.
Yes, sir.
That's why they pay me the big bucks. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. That's not gonna happen. Not up in here, not today. And boom goes the dynamite.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Martin Scoop claims his daughter attended a sex ed support group without his consent and says she was bullied after rumors were spread about her. Mr. Scoop is suing Shayla Bayford in the amount of $1,000.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties have been sworn, Your Honor.
Get up at the Thomas. Mr. Scoop, you are suing Ms. Bayford here in the amount of $1,000. I understand you are actually a reverend, so I will refer to you as Reverend Scoop. Prove your case, sir. Go ahead.
Your Honor, I am the pastor for the Christian Community Church in Lancaster. Your Honor, I am suing the defendant for negligence.
Right, I understand that. And I read and considered the complaint.
Yes.
The issue was your daughter, Kathy, ended up meeting Ms. Bayford. Do you recall when you initially met Kathy, Ms. Bayford?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And tell me the circumstances under which you met her.
Okay, my team and I visit schools. We were at a visit to Kathy's school. After we were done, Kathy came to me.
And why do you all visit schools?
We visit the schools to offer our services and resources and information to young women to deal with their bodies, kind of sex education, learning about your bodies, pregnancy.
It's all inclusive in those areas?
Yes.
All right. You've been doing that for how long?
About 6 years.
Okay. Let's talk about the meetings that you hold.
So the meetings we hold is a group of women, mostly young women. Everything is confidential. They come together, they spend their time there, they're able to, it's a safe space where they can express themselves and their concerns.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that you require them to have a permission slip?
I do. A permission slip is given.
And that's for the parent or guardian to sign off on?
Yes, it is.
Before a person could be a part of this club, this group, this confidential setting, they had to have a permission slip signed by their parent or guardian.
Yes.
That there needed to be some sort of email and contact information to verify.
Yes.
And then the first meeting before you all really went into the program, a parent or guardian had to attend for you all to ensure that everybody was on the same page before you really started talking about more confidential things. Do I have it right?
Yes.
Okay.
And none of that happened in this case, Your Honor.
Let's talk about that.
Well, this permission slip, I never saw a permission slip. I was never emailed any correspondence, and the meeting never happened. There was no meeting that I was involved in.
Kathy came to you.
Yes, she did.
This was at the introduction meeting.
Yes.
And you explained to them, here are our steps, and she said, I will follow up with you.
She took her permission slip home.
So you were told, you were told she took it home and had it signed and brought it back.
Yes.
Including the email, including the phone number information as well.
Yes.
You got all of it.
I sent the email.
You want to see that?
Yes. And you were saying, Ms. Bayford? You were saying, Ms. Bayford?
So I did send the email, and when it came to the meeting, Kathy came to me and she swore to me that her dad was working and could not possibly make the meeting and that her mom was no longer with them.
And there is a signature here, and you have a copy of it as well, sir?
I do, Your Honor.
There is a signature and date from Martin Scoop.
And that, Your Honor, is not my signature.
Okay. Did you have a conversation with Kathy about this permission slip? Because that's the common denominator, and she's not here.
I didn't know anything about any of this while this was going on.
Well, she was given a permission slip. You have a copy of it, and she represents to Ms. Bayford. Is your wife no longer with us?
My wife is deceased, Your Honor.
So then if you never saw the document, that means Kathy never showed it to you.
That's right.
Why are you holding Ms. Bayford accountable for Kathy forging your signature and representing to her that it was okay for her to participate? What it comes down to is you're accusing Ms. Bayford of acting in a negligent way by allowing Kathy to be at these meetings. And then there were consequences that resulted from these meetings.
That's right.
But where we begin on this journey is she can't get to these sessions unless certain steps are followed. And she sabotaged your ability to know what was going on. And I take it, had you known, you would not have approved.
Coming up on America's Court.
She has responsibility to make sure that she makes contact with a parent before she includes a minor in these kinds of meetings with these kinds of discussions, and she didn't do that at all.
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Martin Scoop, who is suing Shayla Bayford for negligence.
Why are you holding Ms. Bayford accountable for the actions of your own daughter?
Your Honor, the sensitive nature of the business that Ms. Bayford is involved in demands a certain amount of protocol and adherence. She has a duty, responsibility to make sure that she makes contact with a parent, I believe, at least one time before she includes a minor in these kinds of meetings with these kinds of discussions, and she didn't do that at all.
How many meetings did Kathy attend, to your knowledge?
I believe it was 3, Your Honor, to my knowledge.
Ms. Bayford, do you recall?
It was 3.
It was 3.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it about those sessions that you found so disturbing or unsettling?
Your Honor, I learned after the fact.
Why isn't Kathy here?
Well, that's part of the story. My daughter, because of bullying and cyber attacks, we have had to remove her from her school where she was an A student with a pending scholarship to Cal Berkeley, and we moved her to Atlanta to be with her, her cousins and her grandparents, because she couldn't take anymore the abuse that was coming her way through social media. It was unrelenting.
What caused the abuse, in your opinion?
In these sessions, my daughter was confiding in the group and to the defendant, confiding about her belief that she could be pregnant.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And that's the reason that she wanted to attend this gathering initially to begin with. She had concerns about whether or not she was pregnant.
Yes.
Okay, in this day and age, it's not hard to determine if you're pregnant or not.
No, it isn't.
Was she in fact pregnant?
She was not. When she came to me, she expressed that she thought she might be pregnant. Mm-hmm. I then told her that it might be a great idea to join our meetings, thinking that it would decrease the anxiety while she was waiting on the results. She was very nervous. She was very afraid. And so this support group helps with just that, and keeping the women calm and trying to help them to get a sense of direction. And so we did have her attend the meetings. I did have the signed permission slip.
And Your Honor, if she had adhered to her own protocol,
well, I'm now focused on if Kathy did not want you to attend and she signed your name, then she probably also provided the wrong email address and phone number, but she can't get around the whole issue of meeting the parent in person.
No.
That's
so
right.
she explained to me he could not come.
We must meet a parent or guardian at the initial inception.
Before she starts.
You did not maintain that third tier of your process.
Well, it is what we do. We normally do meet with parents, and usually they will come and say,
and why do you put
I'm okay
that
with
provision in as a part of the 3-step process? Reverend Scoop doesn't show up.
He didn't show up.
You
But
let her continue
he did
on.
sign. We did have a signed permission slip, and we didn't have
then
anything
you would have
from
only
the
had
email.
a two-step process. You would say, all we need is a permission slip and the email and phone number. You wouldn't have the third step of to meet them in person. You violated your own step. So when Mr. Reverend Scoop says you were negligent, how do you rebut that if you're the one that put in effect the 3 steps?
That third step is mostly for the parents, because we've already gotten permission.
It has never dawned on you up until this moment in this situation that someone could forge a permission slip?
We've never had a problem before.
That you know of?
That we know of. There's never been a parent who was upset about their daughters coming to be a part of our meetings. Most parents actually encourage it because it's kind of an uncomfortable situation in speaking with your kids sometimes. And a third party from outside is so much more helpful.
And why didn't you feel as though this would be a positive thing as she's trying to, at 17, figure all this out about her body? Is she pregnant? What is she going to do? What is dad going to think? I'm a preacher's kid. That added pressure, you didn't think that that was factoring into her thought process?
No, Your Honor, I'm sure that it was. And in fact, I believe, my daughter and I have, it's just us, Your Honor. It's just us. And we've had a strong relationship. And I know in her heart of hearts, she knows that I would support her. But I am convinced, and she has said to me, that she was just embarrassed. She lost her mom. And she didn't want to let me down. And because of that, here we are. And she's going through hell.
And what was it that happened as a result of her attending these meetings that caused you to have to transport her to Atlanta?
Coming up on America's Court.
Why should you not be held responsible for the consequences that resulted from the lack of protocol being followed?
Well, I did do the best of my ability to follow protocol.
This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Martin Scoop, who is suing Shayla Bayford for negligence.
The word was leaked out of these sessions that my daughter was pregnant. Now, I'm a pastor, and what they did to my daughter.
And who's they?
Social media, these posts, I'm from my own...
Is that it?
Yes, that's it, that's it. From my own parishioners are coming to me and offering their condolences for what is happening to my daughter and believing that, in fact, she is pregnant.
You don't have to hide it. We already knew. He, referring to you, Reverend, was just preaching last week about adultery and sex, shaking my head and then joined a pregnancy club that condones this behavior. Pastor Scoop better scoop up his own mess right now. Looks like the pastor's daughter is knocked up. You didn't show me proof that $1,000 is what was your out-of-pocket loss. Do you have that, sir?
I do.
Deputy Thomas, we're going to have you working here this afternoon.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, we're good to go. Got to ask.
Got to ask. Ms. Bayford, you didn't follow your own protocol. Why should you not be held responsible for the consequences that resulted from the lack of protocol being followed?
Well, I did do the best of my ability to follow protocol. But
Well,
then
the protocol would have been, I can't
up.
have you coming until we meet your parent.
That meeting, when we have that meeting, it just informs the parent
Right.
a little more about what's going to take place
I'm right
in
there
our
with you.
meetings.
So that means, Kathy, unfortunately, because your parent's not here, if you want to try it again and have your dad come and we can make sure we're all on the same page, you're more than welcome.
Coming up on America's Court.
I have to look at the circumstances here and say, was there negligence? Was there a failure to exercise reasonable care?
This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Martin Scoop, who is suing Shayla Bayford for negligence.
I wanted to help her as best I could. And I do believe, and I still believe, that being in those meetings was going to be the best thing for her.
You didn't help her.
And at least not feeling this anxiety and not feeling so afraid, because people make really bad decisions when they are upset and anxious and desperate. And there was some reason why her father couldn't be there, and there was some reason, we're learning today, why this young lady was so afraid to speak with her parents and tell the truth and actually get that signature. And that's not something that, you know, that happens every day, basically, all over. There are plenty of young women who are deathly afraid of speaking to their dad.
The issue here is, based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, I have to look at the circumstances here and say, was there negligence? Was there a failure to exercise reasonable care? That term reasonable care is extremely important in this conversation, because that dictates what a court must do in terms of taking the facts and balancing them with the elements of negligence. I'm a little challenged because Kathy's not here, because I can't get information from her. I can't get a sense of what was really going on, and the onus really starts with her.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. This is America's Court with Judge Ross.
The plaintiff has the burden of proving that the behavior was not consistent with what the average person would do in that circumstance. See, the challenge that I have is you set the principle, you set the terms, and you didn't follow them. You speak very passionately as to the decision that you made. It makes sense that you would put in place the three-step process. I can't get around the fact that you allowed your emotions to undermine your own criteria. We would not even be here had you just said, I need to see a dad, I need to talk to a parent, even by phone. It's tough. And when the plaintiff bears the burden, you have to prove to the court, based on the preponderance of the evidence, doesn't have to be anything other than maybe 51%, 49. The question is, have you reached that 51%? I believe you have. So I am going to rule in favor of the plaintiff in this case. Mm-hmm. You will pay that $1,000 out of your funds, Ms. Bayford. That is the order. Judgment in favor of the plaintiff. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $1,000.
Because my daughter's life is worse because she met you.
But you should be more worried about why your daughter did not want to express herself to you.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.